a massive pileup.
He got run over. Got destroyed.
Well, I mean, Bubba Wallace just drove flat through the 77 car.
Oh, we're done.
Something went completely wrong on the track. A moment of pure chaos, a split second of contact, and a crash that instantly changed everything happening in the race. But what followed that crash is what truly shocked the NASCAR world. Because Carson Hocevar didn't just walk away and stay quiet. He didn't brush it off. He didn't wait for interviews days later. He reacted immediately, and when he did, the entire NASCAR community split into different sides almost instantly. It all started like a normal, hard-fought race, nothing unusual at first glance. Cars were packed tightly together, running in groups, drafting, pushing for position, trying to gain even the smallest advantage. Because in NASCAR, especially in close racing conditions, every inch matters. Every decision matters. Every move matters. And when the field is bunched up like that, everything becomes more intense than it looks on TV. Bubba Wallace was right in the middle of this battle. Carson Hocevar was right there too. Two drivers, two different styles, but the same goal: gain position and stay competitive in a race where nothing is guaranteed. Hocevar is known for his aggressive mindset. He doesn't hesitate to go for gaps. He doesn't back down easily. He races with intensity, especially when he sees an opportunity. Bubba Wallace, on the other hand, is a driver who often finds himself in tight racing situations where precision and timing matter just as much as aggression. So when both of these drivers ended up fighting in the same pack, it was only a matter of time before something happened. And then it did. The contact came suddenly. So suddenly that many fans watching live didn't even fully understand what had just happened in real time. One moment, everything looked stable. Cars were lined up, battling for space, each driver trying to hold their line. And the next moment, everything changed. A slight misjudgment in spacing, a small movement at the wrong time, and that was enough. Metal touched metal, momentum broke instantly, and cars were sent slightly out of shape, disrupting the rhythm of the race. It wasn't the kind of crash that destroys a race entirely, but it was enough to create chaos, enough to change strategies, enough to spark controversy, because in NASCAR, even minor contact can feel massive when it happens in the middle of a tight pack. And this wasn't just any moment. This was a critical phase of the race where drivers were trying to position themselves for the next stage. So when the crash mentally for the drivers involved, nothing, but not for the race itself. As replays started circulating, fans immediately began analyzing every frame. One angle showed one thing. Another angle showed something slightly different, and that's where NASCAR controversies always begin. Because perception changes everything. What one person sees as a racing incident, another sees as avoidable contact, and that difference of opinion is exactly what fuels debates like this. Bubba Wallace was involved in the incident, and naturally, his name became part of the discussion immediately. At the same time, Carson Hocevar's name also became central because of how directly he reacted afterward. And when those two names enter a controversial situation together, the NASCAR fanbase reacts instantly. After the incident, Carson Hocevar did not stay silent. He expressed frustration about what had happened on track. His reaction wasn't calm or neutral. It was emotional. Because from his perspective, the situation unfolded in a way that he felt could have been avoided. He questioned the timing, he questioned the space available, and he questioned the decision-making in that exact moment. That reaction immediately intensified the situation, because now it was no longer just about a crash. It became about interpretation, about responsibility, about whether the incident was simply hard racing, or something more avoidable. Bubba Wallace's side of the situation was different. From his perspective, this is part of racing. When cars are running inches apart at high speed, there is very little room for reaction, very little time to adjust. And in those conditions, contact is sometimes unavoidable. That's the reality of NASCAR. Close racing is not clean racing, it is controlled chaos. But Carson Hocevar's frustration added another layer, because when a driver speaks out strongly, fans don't just hear it, they react to it. And that reaction spreads fast. Social media platforms lit up immediately. Clips were shared, opinions were formed, sides were chosen. Some fans agreed with Hocevar completely. They felt he had every right to be frustrated. They believed the move that caused the crash was too aggressive for the situation. They saw it as a moment where patience could have changed everything. Other fans defended Bubba Wallace. They argued that racing incidents like this happen all the time in NASCAR. They pointed out that drivers are constantly making split-second decisions under pressure. And sometimes, there simply isn't enough time to avoid contact. And just like that, the NASCAR world was divided again. But what made this situation even more intense was not just the crash itself, it was the timing of it. Because this wasn't early in the race where drivers could recover easily. This was during a crucial phase where every position mattered, where momentum was everything, where losing track position meant spending the rest of the race trying to recover. And that's exactly what made the incident so frustrating for the drivers involved. Because in NASCAR, momentum is more valuable than almost anything else. Once you lose it, it becomes incredibly difficult to get it back. As the race continued after the incident, the atmosphere subtly changed. Drivers became more cautious in certain sections. Some became more aggressive, trying to recover lost positions. And others simply tried to avoid getting caught in similar situations. Because everyone saw what had just happened, and everyone understood how quickly things could change. Meanwhile, outside the track, the debate kept growing. Analysts started reviewing the incident carefully, frame by frame, angle by angle, trying to understand whether it was a racing mistake, a misjudgment of space, or just unavoidable contact in tight racing conditions. And the truth is, NASCAR rarely gives a clear answer in situations like this because racing is not black and white. It is full of grey areas. What looks aggressive to one viewer may look normal to another. What feels like a mistake to one driver may feel like racing to another. And that difference is what makes NASCAR both exciting and controversial at the same time. Carson Hocevar's reaction also highlighted something deeper: the emotional pressure drivers face inside the car. Because at 180 plus miles per hour, decisions are not made calmly, they are made instantly. And sometimes those decisions carry consequences that only become clear after the fact. For Bubba Wallace, the situation added another chapter to his career narrative. He is no stranger to being involved in tight racing situations that spark debate. Every incident he is part of tends to get heavily analysed. Every move gets questioned by fans from multiple perspectives, and that puts even more pressure on him every time he is on track. But regardless of opinions, one thing remains true. This is NASCAR. And NASCAR is built on close racing, on risk, on intensity, on moments that can change everything in a single second. As the emotions slowly cooled after the incident, the race continued. But the conversation didn't stop, because moments like this don't just disappear. They stay in the minds of fans, they become part of highlight discussions, they become part of driver reputations. And sometimes, they even influence future races. Carson Hocevar will move on to the next event, Bubba Wallace will continue his season, and the NASCAR world will shift focus to the next race. But this moment, it will be remembered, not because it was the biggest crash, but because of what it represented. It represented how thin the line is between racing hard and racing too hard, between competition and controversy, between control and chaos. And in NASCAR, that line is never far away, because every lap, every corner, every battle for position carries that same risk. One decision, one moment, one contact, and everything changes. That's what makes the sport unpredictable. That's what makes it emotional, and that's why fans never stop talking about it.